Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Joshino, and today I'm going to be breaking down the updates to the Paladins public test server and Sun and Moon update. There's quite a few buffs for a few champions, a little bit of nerfs, and some reworks, and also a lot of fixes. And I'm going to try and condense. Basically, there's been 6 updates so far. I have actually been away for a week, and there is something that's happened to my channel that I don't really want to talk about now, but is quite obvious. And I'm currently putting together a video, and I'm asking for ideas on a 100k video on my Discord, and there's like a channel there if you want to contribute to some ideas of what you want to see me say, or like a Q&A I guess as well in there. Anyway, back onto the public test server notes. I've condensed everything together, and I'm going to talk about what's changed, what's been fixed, and what is different from the initial Sun and Moon release on when they just opened up the public test server. So one thing that a lot of people were angry about was that there wasn't a diamond chest on the level 49 of the free path. Now that has been added in, so there is actually a chance to get a premium skin at the end of the battle pass for free players. I mean, I still don't think it's as good as Realm Royale in what they do. In Realm Royale, another hi-rez game, they actually give one version of one of the skins for free. And actually that version is kind of the worst version of the 3, but I still think that's better than getting a random skin from a diamond chest. But that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But actually, I don't think necessarily the stuff on the free path is actually that bad now. The Liane Little Spray, the XOXOXO, and the Avatar are actually pretty good. Anyway, there's also, they've put in the missing track rewards at level 34 and level 35. This was just 2 boosters, a skin booster and a battle pass booster. And there's some big issues that originally were happening with the public test server, and that was party chat not working, and also chat messages giving a message ID error alongside the sent message. There seems to be quite a few issues with messages every time there's a patch, but they have fixed these. And also an issue when sending a party invite to another player where it would give an error message. So hopefully parties and party chat are fixed. It seems that it is that way now that I'm playing on the public test server. On to balance, so the big one, the new champion is Io, and the first thing is Goddess Blessing. This is the card that gave damage reduction of 15%, the talent card, when you are healing somebody with your Moonlight. Now, for me, that wasn't that valuable because how often are you healing somebody with Moonlight and also healing them when they are fighting somebody directly? So there's a small window of time when this is going to be valuable, and 15% for me wasn't enough. Now this has been buffed to 25%, however I'm still not 100% convinced that there's enough time for this to be valuable. Although this does make it so that it is actually kind of viable to heal somebody whilst they're taking damage from another enemy. I'll talk about another change in a second. So there was also a change to sacrifice the other talent, where it reduced the in-card duration, in-card cooldown. I don't know what ICD stands for, but it's something along the lines of internal cooldown. I think that's probably what it is. So it had a 60-second cooldown, but now has become 45 seconds. So every 45 seconds you can die and respawn. Plus, on top of that, to buff it even more, the health gain has gone from 40 to 50% of health. This is actually rather big for this card, and I don't necessarily think this is meta either. I think this is more of a fun card, but this does make it much more viable in the fact that you have that 45-second window, which isn't that large. You get out of the fight, you might have 10 seconds of sort of just moving around, healing up, and then get back into a fight, and then within that sort of 30-second gap, you're probably going to have that sacrifice back up again, so it could be that we have a very invincible Io this next patch. Although it is easy to gauge where they're going, and also trying to follow them through with that, it'll be interesting to see whether this will be picked up or not. Next one is Moonlight. This is what I was talking about earlier. This card, this ability has been changed. So the travel time of the heal. So before, it had a little bit of a travel time for the heal to initially go off. However, it works basically as soon as you click on somebody and it locks on, then it will heal. There's not like a little gap. It's like a microsecond gap between that. So basically it does mean that you have more of a chance. I think this helps a lot with Goddess Blessing as well, to save an enemy when they are in a fight. And I think early game, this is quite a big buff to the fact that you can heal somebody that's fighting directly with somebody and keep them alive, and maybe even make them win their duel. The other big thing is they reduced Luna's collision size, and you can't shoot through Luna. So that's a big deal actually. So reducing the collision size does make it a lot less frustrating when you've dropped it down and everybody's trying to fire through it and all the the fire's being soaked up. And by this I mean allies can't shoot through either. They did also fix an issue, which I just tie in now, where Luna, when traveling, would have a massive cylinder hitbox. Now it'll be much more accurate to where she lands, and I don't think it has such a trail, so that should help a lot for random bullets disappearing as well. There's a few more fixes to IO, so they toned down their volume, so they thought it was too loud. There was an issue where the lifelink talent card, this is one where I gave an AoE heal, wouldn't heal players on the edge of the visual radius. That's fixed now too. So Moonlight can now properly heal through the payload and can properly heal through enemy allostasis fields. It seems just things were blocking it when they shouldn't have been. So there was an issue where with one of the cards where you healed with Moonlight, you could have Moonwalk indefinitely even if you weren't actively healing a friendly, which is fixed. There's a few issues with sacrificed talent where you would actually die when you shouldn't have died, like with Ashe's ultimate sometimes killing them, sometimes when you were stunned or polymorphed by the Pip, sometimes when you killed instantly by Lex ult or Street Justice Maeve, it wouldn't actually go through with a sacrifice talent. Now that is fixed. There was an issue where the Goddess Blessing talent card would increase the damage taken, so it would be basically like the old aggression, rather than actually damage reduction. So that's actually good that that has been fixed. Sounds a bit ridiculous. There was an issue where you had 5 players plus Luna, and the objective would freak out that there are 6 people on the objective point and not actually give any capture progress. So that's also fixed, which is good. They fixed an issue where Aya's ult wouldn't respect the Atlas banish effect, so you could knock people back that are already banished when that should never have happened. And they've said that they've adjusted Aya's AI to be improved, but we'll just have to see on that one. I mean, the bots are pretty derpy anyway. Next up, Koga has had a little buff to Blood Reaper, increasing the damage to 115% of target's health. A little nudge there. The big one next up for Androxus is that the fire rate with Curse Revolver has been correctly taken from 0.6 seconds to 0.5 seconds every time you shoot. This is a huge increase on the damage per second, and back to the actual old values, well actually pre-nerf old values. I did a video where it was 620 damage at 0.5 seconds a long time ago, but they were sort of nerfed a year later. It's been a long time with Paladins, so trying to keep track of that is interesting. But yes, this is back to the actual old Androxus. I don't think he's quite as sweaty now in terms of having to like literally dodge around the world and try and get shots off, even though they're quite slow shots, and play your heart out to do decently with Androxus. I think definitely now this will have a massive effect on how viable the Cursed Revolver is, but still I think that you do lose the extra little bits from the other 2 talent cards, which add on top of the normal gun, which isn't necessarily categorically worse than the old Androxus pistol. I think it's harder to use and also more random, but not necessarily completely worse than the old Androxus pistol. But we'll just have to see. I think this is definitely interesting, and this is the buff that was needed to sort of put him back in line with what he should have been. Lex has also had a nerf here, so the damage fall off was a bit broken in the original public test server, and that's why it felt so strong. So the damage fall off has been increased and adjusted to its older values rather than what it currently was. However, there isn't a huge distance before, there isn't a tiny distance before you get to the minimum damage. I mean, the minimum damage is very viable. It seems to be quite a few units between you and where you get that max damage. So I think that the new Lex with the Death Hastens talent card could be meta. It could be meta. I think the thing with Lex is that he doesn't really work with his new weapons because they do so much DPS close up that there's kind of no point in using the lock-ons, whereas Lex's old Death Hastens that are currently being used now, pistols, do loads of bursty damage, but then an enemy could be left on a tiny bit of health, so it's actually worthwhile using your lock-on at the end. The other big nerf to Lex is that during their slide, before at the start of the public test server, you weren't locked out of your slide animation, so you could look around whilst you were sliding and shoot around you rather than just being locked forwards and only being able to shoot forwards, which was a huge buff for the Lex. I think even a default Lex without the Death Hastens weapons would be highly buffed by this one, especially if you're doing the slip and slide Lex build. Now, I think maybe it could have been a little bit too powerful on the slip and slide Lex, but we could have seen where that went. However, I think that maybe this could be the thing that doesn't quite make Lex meta as people thought he might be, thinking that this was an intentional issue, but apparently it's a bug that has been squashed. Let me know what everybody thinks about the Lex slide. So versus originally being able to look around whilst you're sliding versus being stuck forwards. Do you think it's too much of a buff to be able to let the Lex look around and shoot around them whilst they're sliding? Be sure to let me know in the comments section below. A lot of the fixes from the public test server originally have actually just gone live to the live servers before the patch goes live, which is 2 weeks on Wednesday. So I think Wednesday the 17th, but don't quote me on that. But some of the little fixes that have gone live already, our Torvald no longer has his shield when he's polymorphed, added some improvements to Androxus dashes with some issues with going up and down slopes. Imani's dragon should now disintegrate and not just die and be stuck in midair. The Androxus Nether Step and Lex's Re-equip card no longer are activated when the player has full ammo. So basically if you dash, you've got 6 ammo in your chamber anyway, then it's not going to put any more in there, and you're not going to have the card cooldown on the card for their Nether Step, which is actually quite good. Kill to heal no longer activates when players destroy deployables, and a few other little fixes. Be sure to let me know all of your thoughts on the changes to the public test server and also the things that are going live in the comments section below. Do you like these buffs to IO? And again, I don't necessarily think that IO is going to be overpowered. In terms of their base kit, I just think that Luna adds so much to the meta and can be kind of polarizing and changing in the fact that they can cap the point, meaning that everybody can move forwards. I think though that these little buffs to IO's base kit could make her more viable, but it'd be interesting to see. She doesn't have the strongest heals at base, but like the Geno, she has a lot of utility late game that doesn't really go away in Luna, basically. And also the fact that she can do damage at range without any damage drop off, and she has such an escapability with her moonwalking. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more of my content, and I'll see you all next time. Joshino out.